everybody, and welcome to the FX Kid and my Basic Britches session. Today, we're going to be talking about adding plugins, and we're going to do some interesting things. My name is Adam Kid, and I am really learning how to use this broadcasting software. There will be plenty of bugs, but you know what? For now, if you learn what you're supposed to learn in this, then we'll consider it mission accomplished. See, there's one right there. Okay, so now there's my name again. Now let's remove it, add it, remove it, add it, remove it. Okay, what we're going to look at today is this effect here. So it's a bar graph where the bar moves up with the value of the text, and the text actually animates. It's kind of tricky, impossible if you don't use plugins, but we can pull it off. And unlike this video, which only gives 95%, I promise to give 100%. So let's hop in and have some fun with this, and we'll see how this works out. Let's minimize our tools and bring up a website. So in order to do this, we need Blender, of course, and we're going to go to a new window. Now, ideally, when you start Blender and you would go into compositing, you're going to find that you have three options here. Shader nodes, texture nodes, and compositing nodes. This little gadget that I got here, you can only get if you do an add-on, and this is an animation compositor. In order to get that, we have to hunt online. I actually looked into the Blender artists forums, and ultimately it led me to this GitHub where you can actually download the zip file, all right, which is your add-on. Back in the day, if you wanted to put an add-on in, you really had to go through quite a few hoops to do it. Involved putting it in the right folder, moving things around. It was a huge pain in the butt, so you really only added one if you really needed it. So now that we have that downloaded, we can go ahead and go back into Blender. Let's go to our default view, and I am going to file, user preferences, add-ons, and install from file. And hopefully from here you get an option to go to downloads. Now, since I don't have that, I'm going to go ahead and I should add that sometime. I don't use my downloads folder much. I use my desktop a lot though, so I'll jump in there. Nope. And I do believe it's near the end here, day for night. Animation nodes, and you can go ahead and install that zip file, and it will do all the dirty work for you. If you go to user, so that's user plugins, you add it in, you go ahead and make sure that is checked mark as I have there, and then you save your user settings. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and we're going to start with our default cube. Now, we could go about this one of two ways, but I'm going to go ahead and start with I'm going to leave the cube as it is, but I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to scale it, scale 5, okay, and then I'm going to change the location, so we're going to say grab it, and the z-axis by 5 as well. So if you look under, you should see, yeah, a little cube poking out there. Now, the reason I want this cube here is I'm going to destroy it a little bit. I'm going to get rid of the top, shift click the sides here. I'm going to delete those faces. And then what I have left, I'm actually going to go to Control N. We're going to recalculate the normals on that one. All right, and we should be left with basically a presentation area. So I'm going to go out of that, and now let's start assigning a couple of simple materials. I want to keep this simple. Where am I going? For my bar material, I'm going to make that as ugly and pronounced as possible. For this, I have to remove that material, make a new material. There we go. Let's see, maybe a light hue. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying there. A light skin tone color should be okay. I'm going to move my light kind of out of the way here so it'll do just enough. And then we're going to go ahead and add some text. So add text. All right, and if we go to our transformation controls, because they're very easy to use, let's rotate this on the the x-axis 90 degrees. And let's see here. On the z-axis, let's only do 45 degrees. That might be a little too much still. All right, and that's gonna be about it. I might bring that up a little bit, and I think what I'm gonna do, yeah, this will make things easier in the long run. Let's go to the transformations for our cube here. Notice our cursor, our 3D cursor is there. I'm gonna grab the cube and I'm going to change the location on the z-axis up 1. And that'll put it flat on the ground there. But I am going to set the origin on that to the 3D cursor. So now, if I were to scale it, for example, it'll really only go in one direction. I'm going to line this up a little bit better. Oh, I don't like that. I'm going to put that camera in a new spot. How about right here? Now we can do better than that. Grab it, move it on the x-axis. If you're not familiar with these transformations here, we can put a tutorial up. This is just sort of common stuff, you know, how we navigate around space. Let's do a quick render just to see, you know, things look pretty. Okay, they look hideous, but this isn't an aesthetics tutorial. If you want to do shaders, you can do those. Whatever. So now that we have all this stuff in place, we're going to start adding some values to it. The first thing I want to do, though, is let's go to Object, Apply, Scale. All right, and that's going to be on the cube. So we're going to say that that is the default Z height or Z measurements for this cube. This is going to be very important later on. We're going to go into compositing, and we can still see everything there. And we're going to go to Animation, New, and so this is going to be a new node tree that we are going to call Text. So what we need to do is change the values of that text. And in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and add, and you'll see it gives us a whole list of things that we can animate. We're going to change the text values. So under text, we're going to go object output. And when we lay that down, we select our object. It's going to be the text. And if we start activating these things, we're going to forever change the text itself. Right now it just says text. If we hit enable, it's just going to make it disappear. So let's put in something as a filler for right now. And with this, we can also adjust our size, which we are not really going to do in this presentation. But if you really want to, just click on it, and there you go. And then we will do some extruding. So just extrude a little bit because that looks cool. So we don't want it to just say fill. We want it to say something. We want it to have a number. So the thing that lets us give numbers is math. If you're familiar with grade school math, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 0 is 0, whatever. And for that, we're going to use math to feed this. So we're going to add a number, math. So there we go. And by multiplying here, we're going to change that to add, actually. And we're going to make that 0. So if we go ahead and take this nodule and bring out the noodle, there's certain things it won't let you connect to. If you try to connect it to the text, it'll just bounce it back. You can modify the size without any trouble, but here, if you want to make number become text, it's got to put something in the middle. So it will. It's really good at that. So the first thing we have is, there we go, a convert to text. So it'll take that math and it will turn it into text. The one problem that we have here is that it's doing like some decimal points. So if we were to do, if our math, so 1 plus 1 equals 2, but what if we were doing some multiplying or dividing and the sum came out to 2.8? So I'm just going to put some gibberish in. All right. What'll happen is it will keep going on forever, and we may not want that. So let's go ahead. I'm going to leave that crazy number there for now, just to prove a point. We're going to add number round, and that's going to round our numbers to a decimal point, so we can do 3.9 because it's going to round up to the nearest number. You see there, but let's just remove any rounding there and turn that back to 0. So now our number is 1. 1 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 0 is 0. All right, and that's all we need. All right, we have just made a number. All right, and if we want to, we can animate this. I'm going to go ahead and drop in a timeline because that's a comfort thing for me. Let's go ahead and insert a keyframe just by holding over and hit I for insert. And on frame 100, it's kind of arbitrary, but 100. Okay, let's put the number 100. All right, and we're going to also insert a keyframe right there. So now we have animated that, and it will automatically change. Now we're part of the way there. That's awesome. Okay, but we can go a little bit further. We're going to add something. We're going to add under text list. So this is going to plug in a series of items. All right, and one of them is going to be math or values. So I want a percentage on there. Sorry, I just forgot where percent goes. All right. If we were to, for example, disconnect this and plug that in there, it will just give us some weird messed up number. All right, and I do believe we be missing something. So, yes, I totally forgot that the noodle order goes there. So if you do see, let's see, grab, because the that percentage is already text, it doesn't need to be converted to text. My mistake. So what we need to do is tell it to take both the number, so that's the number 100, for example, and that percentage sign. So we're going to add text, and we are going to join. So what this will do is it will let us take both pieces of text, join them together, and there you go. It'll create another little noodle for us. Now this is getting a little bit messy. I'm going to do a little cleanup here. And if you're familiar with any of the other regular nodes, that's fine. Like it works the same way. We're going to go ahead. If you want to, you can put a space there, but I don't like that. Okay, and if you want to make, like, for example, the percentage sign go beforehand, if you come from a land where that actually happens, just change the order. So there you go. Plug it in there, and then put the percentage right there, and there you go. That'll work out fine. If you don't want to type that over, like that percentage sign over and over again, one thing I can recommend is adding a text input node. Just put the percent sign in, and if you need to reroute, you reroute. Like, I don't want it there, but I want it there. It's giving me 2% because I already filled in a percent right there. Let's say we want to change it to, the national debt. $100. Okay. It's a good example. Whoop. $100. That's just a playful option. And then again, if you want to put the space in there, I don't need to put the space in. But I do want to change that back to percent. Sorry about that. All right. So now, there you go. It's animated. We're done, right? Well, no. We still have something else we have to do. And it is going to happen right about here. So let's go ahead and add another object, this time object. And we are going to put in a transform output. And we're going to select the object that gets transformed. And for us, it's going to be the first cube. And we want to make sure that it transforms on the z-axis only. And sometimes this stuff shows up like that. If it doesn't show up and you don't want to click on them, just remember it's always X, Y, and Z. Z or Z. Sorry, I say Z a lot. But we're going to transform the scale on the Z axis, and it'll create a little noodle for us there. All right, and then what I want to do is take my numbers, connect them, and it will create this bar that has gotten a little too high. So in order to remedy that, we're going to put in another node, and it's going to be another math node, number, math. All right, and what's happening here is the value is saying, well, it's 57, so it's making the transformation of my cube here. Select. Let's see here. Transform. Well, it's making it really tall. So it's actually taking our number 57 and making it 57 units tall. So I need to divide that by 100. And that's a little bit more acceptable for what we're trying to do. And so now, there we go, 100%. And if you want to render it out, the way it's set up right now, we can just do a cycles export, or set it to cycles, and it'll look decent. So now that that is done, we can go ahead and play around. There's your node tree set up there, and I'll post the pictures. And that's all I have for today. The last thing I'm going to plug is obviously my ugly mug, and then a promo for what I have cooking. And here it is right here.
Recording. Action.
So I'm going to take this footage.
Cut.
And turn it into
Red nose, black heart. You'll wish he wasn't.
That is all I have for today. Drop a comment at the bottom if you want to see anything else, or if you have any comments or questions or anything like that. I hope it was very helpful, and we'll talk at you later.